Iran is burying underground what people are already thinking, which could even be nuclear weapons. And here on Military Strategies, today we have the keys, the images, the evidence that something else is happening and that we are all in danger. Family, your likes, your comments, let's get started. Good afternoon, family. Welcome to Military Strategies. We are live right now. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Before it disappears from the radar, I want to show it so people have it clear. Very, very clear. There are suspicions. It's not just me saying it. It's what this plane, Jake 27, says. A Boeing Weather Reconnaissance 135R Constant Phoenix, a radiation sniffing dog. This plane has been patrolling all day today. The Eastern Mediterranean area. This plane is only there to look for radioactive particles, to detect radiation emissions. Realize what we're talking about. Here, it's no longer a telecommunications or electronic warfare plane, or one that's just lurking around. Here we're talking about serious things now, very serious. Welcome, family. Military Strategies. We're live right now. Before the plane left, I wanted to show it. By the way, it was sent from the United Kingdom to do a patrol. Let's look into the details and see what options are available. But we also have images here exclusively on Military Strategies. We already talked about it the other day, that the regime was practically burying its nuclear facilities underground. They were shielding them, they were sealing them with tons and tons of sand. Now, the images we're going to see today are even more worrying, much more disturbing. Let's put it that way. Family, super important. Your likes, your comments if you aren't subscribed to the Military Strategies channel news references. What's happening right now in the Middle East and in other parts of the world? Today we're going to have a lot of programming. Netanyahu is currently meeting with Bibi. Bibi is meeting with Trump. They're the same person, Bibi and Netanyahu. Sometimes it's Bibi, other times it's Netanyahu. At a critical moment for Israel's security. Let's see what happens in that meeting. Later, we'll have another program about it. We'll focus on the diplomatic issue, but for now, we're focused on the military issue. What you're seeing there is a kind of air train with tanker planes and fighter jets circling, patrolling. Take a look. This Strato tanker that left from the United Kingdom went down to the Mediterranean, was refueling planes, then went back up, and this other one has been around here. Another Strato tanker, refueling a lot of aircraft in flight, also aircraft in Azerbaijan. And now we also had another Strato tanker taking off from Qatar with an air force to do the usual patrol. A few minutes ago, we had Overlord, which is the call sign of the Friday Triton from the Drum, patrolling this area of the Persian Gulf. And along with the images we've seen of the deployments, more C-5 planes are arriving right now, the super freighters from the United States. Everything seems to indicate that preparations for the attack against Iran are near. We also have new information about that possible future new armed fleet that Donald Trump would like to send. What are the options? Which aircraft carriers could they be? Which ships capable of carrying aircraft could they be? Today on Military Strategies, we're offering all this exclusively to the Hispanic community and sharing what's happening. What's happening, which I insist is important, is serious. All of this needs to be taken very seriously. Special Forces planes are also taking off here in the United Kingdom. Sea, air, and land rangers can be on board these types of aircraft for air-to-ground operations. And this precisely is one of the things the regime fears right now. They're worried. Arachi is worried. The Ayatollah is worried that there could be a massive air attack, but also that this attack could include a ground assault to take out priority targets, to enter nuclear program facilities, facilities where they are hiding uranium, biological weapons, or there could even already be some unconventional device.
Well,
Just thinking about it already. I worry a lot about the situation, about how far we've come. The Iranian nuclear program has been allowed to go too far. It has been allowed to go too far. From the very first moment they built the first nuclear plant, Israel should have destroyed it. They did it in Syria. They did it in Iraq. It was Operation Opera. When Saddam Hussein wanted a nuclear reactor in Syria, it was Operation Out of the Box. However, with Iran, it wasn't done. It wasn't done at that time because maybe there wasn't the military capability to get there, refuel in flight and return. For years, there have been attempts to take down that nuclear program. With the scientists, with a lot of people, but it hasn't been possible. We'll focus on two key places. We already saw it last week. We were already talking about these places of the regime. And now the images they show us. What's happening in this area here in Isfahan is concerning. I say it like that. It's concerning. Because when you want to hide under the mountain, act like a turtle, it's because you're hiding something important there. It's likely that the surface facilities have been completely abandoned. All the advanced technological material, industrial machinery, has been buried underground. And now we might be facing a much greater challenge. These entrances you see reinforced with cement, with a position and an angle to reduce the effect of a shock wave. They have been completely buried, I insist. Buried. They have been buried. Why have they been buried? What is the intention? Let's look at it in a photo here on Military Strategies. And we're going to break down the details of all this because it's a serious topic. It's complicated and difficult, and it requires a lot of seriousness when talking about it. This is Isfahan, an old image, the one you're going to see now. There it is. That would be the normal, usual entrance to one of the facilities, one of these famous facilities that we know about or have knowledge of. I think this one is in the Natom area. I want to recall that this is the Natom area. Let's go look for it. Because things are also happening there. Let's go up to here, Natom, nuclear facility. Do you know that underneath here, there's a facility under this ground? There's a facility down there. I'm going to put it up so people remember quickly. I'm not going to dwell on this. We've already talked about it many times. I don't like to be repetitive. I don't like to go over the same steps usually. 2003. Here you can see the installation with the centrifuges and everything you're seeing in this place. Same place. I'm going to zoom out a bit so you can see the change. Same place. Year 2024, it's covered. That is, they covered it. They made an underground entrance, bunkerized and protected underground, to enter the facility. This was attacked in the 12-day war. Well, what wasn't attacked, obviously because, well, there wasn't any interest, or for whatever reason, X, let's call it that, was the facility that's right on the mountain above Natam. There's a mountain there where millions, I mean tons, have been moved. They have drilled underground. Do you see all the volume of earth we're seeing here that has been taken out from inside the mountain? Fire has been taken out and we see a pile. Here we see another pile of earth as well that has been accumulating in this area. Here we see another one, this area. From here you can see all of that, and from here you can also see how a lot of earth has been removed. This is a kind of dump site. We also see areas where material has been extracted to build and produce cement. That is, to reinforce the underground structure. And it's a structure that spreads throughout the entire mountain, that has communication systems, that has radars, that has a military structure. And precisely what we're seeing now in that photograph, which we're going to show now, is that these entrances, the ones we're seeing right here, have been buried. They have taken everything of value they had from other places in Iran. They know that this mountain is practically impenetrable from the air, even for the guided bomb unit. 57 these bunker buster bombs. The ones that were used in Fordo, guided bomb unit. Let's find a photo here so you can see. The massive ordnance penetrator, which is what it's called, MOP, is a bomb that's dropped from the B-2 Spirit, which is gigantic and is the one that was used. Let's show the photo of this type of munition, but the thing is, this type of munition in these places, unless they go in through a ventilation shaft, it doesn't work. It has to be said clearly, we have to acknowledge that Iran knows the capabilities of this type of weapon. In the case of Fordo, 3 or 4 munitions were introduced through the ventilation duct, and part of the facility was destroyed underground. We don't know if it was completely, but part of it was destroyed underground. What we're facing here is something much more complex than Fordo. Much more complex than Fordo. There are more entrances we can see here. Is one being built or was it being built? These are images from the year 2024. We can see here. Notice the access gallery where it begins, which starts right at this spot. This whole area has already been buried. It's all been reinforced to protect the entire gallery. In this gallery, there will be different blast doors to provide protection in case there is an attack in this area. The idea is that the blast wave and fire won't enter inside and can be controlled. For example, here we're seeing a clear example of what we're talking about. What we see here is likely to be a ventilation system. Now we're going to see some old images to look at the evolution of this place. There's nothing there. In 2013, there's still nothing. In 2015, still nothing. In 2017, still nothing either. Not much in 2019, still nothing either. 2020, still nothing. 22. Now you can see a few things here and there. There's too much shadow in the mountains. You can't see it until 2024. Do you see this area here? They've been able to build a kind of ventilation shaft there, for example. That's one of the examples I want to show. If there's a GB, it could penetrate, but now we're going to realize that it's not exactly what we're thinking. Also, I want you to notice a detail that's quite interesting. Notice the height at which the entrance is on this side of the slope. And a few meters higher up. Would this be here? We don't even know if it could be a missile silo because it could be a missile launch site. From this area we're looking at here, then we have this area we see here, which shows us the drilling capability it has. Look, Iran has been drilling in different layers, different structures, at different depths, and they've been going underground. What is the approximate depth of this facility? From what is being discussed, experts talk about more than 200 meters deep. Quite far from the capability that those anti-bunker weapons could have on their own. We have to add to what we're seeing right now, we have to add another detail, another small but important detail, the one we're going to see now in the photo. What the regime has done now, and you'll see it here, is this. They've completely covered the entrances with dirt. They've sealed them. Did the staff who were supposed to stay inside actually stay? Or are there secret entrances that can't be seen so the staff can get in? And they've buried it. They've buried themselves in there. And from there, nothing goes in, nothing comes out. Not only because of the possible attack from the air, as we've mentioned, there are special operations groups that could launch an assault operation on this facility with the cover of the Air Force, with helicopters, Apaches, with fighter jets. With the A-10S, they could have air support, which would prevent Iran from sending reinforcements to protect the facility. They could isolate the entire area. That is, let's look at it here. Imagine that this becomes a no-go zone. No entry allowed by the United States of America. They can design. Let's draw it in a second. Allow me, we'll do it here quickly. A sort of isolated zone where their operations are being carried out. And here the regime couldn't enter. We can see it here. There it is. Look at this. Let's paint it in red. We imagine the United States with protection, drone air protection, surveillance systems, Air Force. They come in with helicopters. Here, they take the facility, go inside, place explosives. They eliminate any guards present. Here, it gets destroyed. And on to something else? To avoid that, will they go? What they're doing, what they're looking for is nothing more and nothing less goodbye than what we're saying. Bury the entrances. Don't leave any place where the United States could enter with special forces teams. What does this mean? One, that is of high value, that whatever is inside, they want to protect it at all costs. Two, that it's dangerous enough to keep it well buried underground. Three, it's the greatest threat that the United States of America can face right now. There are a few more facilities like this one. We're going to go now to Isfahan. Isfahan, that's where we were marking. The first one in the same province, Natan, belongs to the province of Isfahan. Here in Isfahan, we're going to find a very similar situation. Facilities that are underground. We can see it around here. In mountains, also at great depths, where, again, they have buried all their material so that it can't be attacked like it was attacked at the time by Israel. In this area here, all of this area here was practically destroyed during the 12-day war. Right now, there are negotiations. This is evident. There are negotiations. There are a series of circumstances that are mitigating the military operation. But Arachi said it here the other time. We were also negotiating and they attacked us, so this time we are not going to make the same mistake. We are prepared. The other day, the head of the Revolutionary Guard was saying and commenting, "We are going to launch weapons that we haven't used until now." Then another said they could destroy Haifa and Tel Aviv. Then another one came saying that the nuclear weapon would be the solution to the Israel problem. And so, for weeks and months, one after another, I insist. What could happen? Well, right now, is it possible that the United States of America needs more ammunition and more equipment to be able to break through the natural defensive system that the Iranians have set up? What is that system? Tunnels? An operation will have to be launched in Isfahan city, and it's going to be much more complicated because different areas of the city will have to be isolated. There are launch zones. I'll show you a bit more here. Maybe Isfahan is the most dangerous thing we're seeing now. Precisely because of this issue, there are about 10,000 people here right now. Please, your likes are super important. Let's share this live on Facebook, Twitter, on Facebook, your social networks, WhatsApp groups. Please, help the channel so we can keep sharing what you can't see anywhere else. Real-time analysis of this whole story. Isfahan is complicated not by itself, but because of the issue we just discussed. Let's draw. Or isolate two very specific areas. Let's do it. Here we isolate. The first area is the nuclear reactor area. It's kind of a circle. This would be the first area. There we have it drawn in yellow, but right next to it, crossing a small part of the city. We're going to face another challenge. A challenge that is also striking. Look here in this area, what you're seeing here, and now look at this other area here. This is the cluster of anti-aircraft defenses in Isfahan, where there are anti-aircraft cannons, anti-aircraft missiles, and anti-aircraft batteries. There are also bunkered areas. Here we see an example of one of those entrances to those bunkers. We can see that earth has been removed, that they are underground. It is most likely the command and control center. We can also see here how those bunkers are built. We can see the whole area that's outside here. We keep noticing things that are striking. More areas where ballistic missiles can be launched. These ones we see here. A bit more of the same in this area. And it's an important point. We don't see here, notice, the air defense systems could be kept hidden there. You would need to use bunker-busting munitions, the pathway ones, to get in there, blow it up, clear it out, isolate this area. Again, I insist, these are areas where everything is very well protected. Take a look. And that takes hours, it takes time, it requires a significant amount of material. Besides, there's an Iranian Air Force military base here where they have their assets. Well, drone launches, a heliport, they have more anti-aircraft defense systems set up around here. Can you see them? Missile launchers. Did you notice? This whole area. It's a complex world. It's quite a complex operation we're talking about. This is the radar, one of the radars. It's complex, quite complex, not far from Isfahan, not far from that area. I remember like that more or less with little memory. You know, my memory is terrible. There's also an area where there are burials, there are missile launchers, there are silos buried underground, in the desert. The farm, which is what it's called, where there are a lot of launchers ready to fire missiles. I don't know if they're anti-aircraft or if they're ballistic missiles. We don't know because nobody has been there, but we do know by the shape and the diameter it has. Could it be this kind of system? It's one of the most important military zones in Iran. It's one of the most complex areas. I insist, and they've buried themselves there. Well, when could Iran decide to use unconventional weapons? Well, I think this would go in phases. We have to be clear about that. With this, I'm going to play a little music. Iran could decide to take the path. Suicide? Pretty much. If they actually get to that point. They reach the point where there are no more options. Has the Ayatollah died or been captured? They find themselves in a situation of total weakness. The people take to the streets. The Revolutionary Guard is losing ground. Iran is falling. The generals who end up isolated might decide, we die killing, and launch some unconventional weapon. What are we basing this on? This is serious, so we need to be sure about what we say. First, intelligence reports that Iran has been experimenting with chemical weapons for years, and also the fact that they've actually used them in war. Iran and the fact that they have a secret chemical weapons program. And also, since 2016, they already had the capability to build a nuclear detonator. Do they have the material to build it? It's hard to believe they haven't built a small, low-yield nuclear warhead to cause significant damage in large cities. Thinking it couldn't happen could be a serious mistake related to this. Precisely, the United States has commented and said that it could send a new fleet. It could send a new fleet to wage war, to produce war. I would like to show you a photograph that is important. What stands out are the F-15S that are currently deployed in Jordan. It seems that the agreement in Jordan is that no offensive operations against Iran will be launched from there. But defensive ones are allowed. Why? Is this the configuration of the F-15S that we are seeing right now at the base in Jordan? This is the one we've talked so much about in recent days, and that is so important in the red circle. What we can see is an adaptation, an evolution of a weapon system from the 70mm Hydra. Thank you. These are rockets that are launched air to ground, but now a kit has been added to this type of rocket so that they can be guided. If you look at the image we're enlarging, each pod, that is, each container, carries a significant number of rockets. Each pod could carry about 6 rockets. Why do they want them? They're not for attacking land. The United States has designed this weapon as an evolution to deal with swarms of drones, drone swarm attacks. An air-guided rocket launched against a drone moving at a low speed is a target. Easy for this type of weapon, which is inexpensive and can be carried in large numbers on the same flight platform. In addition, there are also air-to-air missiles, which we can see down here right below the circle. You can see an air-to-air missile showing the nature of attack and protection. The United States assumes Iran will retaliate and believes this response must be prevented. It will act accordingly. Right after the operation begins, so these F-15 planes will have a major role in protecting the skies. This is super important. Okay, are you telling me to enlarge the arrow that's on the screen? I'm going to try. Excuse me for a moment so you can see it a little better. Sorry for any inconvenience. Thank you for watching this suggested video. You already know you can do it. We're here to improve. Let me see if I can make it bigger so you can see it better. I know it's complicated, especially on mobile phones and for people who maybe have vision problems. I know that it's complicated. Let's see. I came to try something. Okay. All right. Let's do something to make this look a little better. And much easier. Make. There, that's it. Good. Let's return to the topic of Isfahan we briefly discussed here so others can see it if they haven't yet. This mountain. Let's remove the color we've painted yellow. There it is. These entries that I'm marking with a little circle, I think you can clearly see the image there. Let's take a look. There it is. Let's see. No, you can't see it. About this point, that's an entrance. Well, all of that has been covered up. Okay, all of that has been covered up to prepare for a future attack. That means, therefore, that the United States is not going to launch attacks, maybe from Jordan, but will instead focus on defensive operations. And obviously, it will need another aircraft carrier or a hybrid ship for this type of operation. Which ones are available right now? Well, the aircraft carriers that are available right now are the Ford and the Ford to take it to the Middle East. The rest of the United States' aircraft carriers. Some are in the Pacific area, and the others are in maintenance phase or in phase of training. All right, we're going to see it in this image. Here we have a chart made by a Twitter account. And we're showing it to you here. Here it is. Let's take a look at it right now. What do we have? Is the Nimitz going to be decommissioned? The Eisenhower is under maintenance. The Carl Wilson has been deployed and is right now resting. Roswell is in training in San Diego. The Abraham Lincoln. This is the one that's currently in the Persian Gulf. The George Washington is available in Japan, but it can't be moved from there because it's protecting the Taiwan area and that part of the Pacific. The John Stannis, the Truman, and the Reagan are currently under maintenance, entertainment. For example, the Stannis is changing its nuclear fuel. The Truman is increasing its capabilities, and the Reagan is in dry dock. The Bush is currently in pre-deployment training. The Gerald Ford, which is in the Caribbean, and the Kennedy is under maintenance. So, if what they want to send is an aircraft carrier, it will have to be the Ford, or they'll have to wait until the Bush is ready. That's right. So, maybe the option of launching an aircraft carrier isn't valid. In this sense, it doesn't work for us. What other options do we have? Well, the smaller aircraft carrying ships, which are not as big as an aircraft carrier, but are also very lethal. The IWO JEMA, for example, is one of them. Look, here, this is the JEMA list. We have the WAPS, which already participated in the protection of Israel last year. It's under maintenance. The X's, the Kerchage, the Boxer are in training. The Baton is under maintenance. The IWO JEMA, which is currently deployed in the Caribbean Sea, but its embarked wing consists of Harrier aircraft that are not suitable for this mission. The Harrier consumes a lot of fuel and doesn't offer the features of an F-35, so we can rule out the IWO JEMA. The Making Island is in training, the America is under maintenance, so that only leaves us with the Tripoli. The Landing Helicopter Assault 7 Tripoli carries F-35Bs and could be deployed to the Mediterranean area, possibly accompanied by a couple of destroyers or a cruiser, Ticonderoga-class missile launcher, in case they don't want to send or deploy an entire carrier strike force. That option would be there and available. The Tripoli. We'll soon take a look at some of the units that can be incorporated into the deployment. Now let's go back to the image we saw a moment ago, which was striking. Let's take a look. During today, the plane that searches for radioactivity or radioactive particles has been in this area of the Mediterranean. This same area is where a few days ago the P-8 Poseidon plane was, and I commented about that area. Could an aircraft carrier be positioned there precisely to provide support for air operations against Iraq? It could be, and I say it could be, maybe I'm wrong. That in the same vector where the P-8 was a few days ago, which is the same one where today the Coast and Phoenix has been. Could there be a Russian nuclear submarine? Could it be around there? Is that an option? Another option is that the United States of America fears that some kind of radioactive material may have been deployed. Along this line that we see ourselves coastal of Africa. Who does this include? Libya, Egypt, this whole area here. They are looking for substances or radioactive material, which is no small thing, right? Which is no small thing. Notice that right now it's arriving in Turkey, or in this area, a galaxy, a super galaxy, is arriving. Are they going to set up anti-aircraft batteries against ballistic missiles to protect Europe? It could be. I warned the other day that if Iran is attacked by the United States, it will strike important United States bases in the Middle East, but also in Europe. They'll use either ballistic missiles or terrorist cells on the ground. They're going to do it. What would make sense is a war, right? In a war, you try to inflict as much damage as possible on the enemy, which makes the situation quite chaotic. Insight from the meeting. The meeting right now between Netanyahu and Trump, a little insight into precisely this story.
They are meeting, they are talking. And look, the photograph.
This photograph is important. Vivian Trump. They are the two men right now. Who have everything on the table. Vivi smiles. Trump looks serious. He doesn't seem very happy. There's a lot at stake. Trump knows it. Maybe Trump doesn't want a war, but he knows that Israel is going to start one. And he can't say no to them. Regardless of what Trump says, Israel has its own interests. It's a sovereign country. I've always said it must look after its own security. Ballistic missiles won't hit the White House. The ballistic missiles aren't going to fall on Mar-a-Lago. They're going to fall on Tel Aviv. They're going to fall on cities like Beersheba, on hospitals and places like that. Israel has a responsibility as a state. Trump can negotiate whatever he wants with those who want to take a picture with the Iranians shaking hands, like with Petro or something like that. Those are Trump things. And that's Trump. Each one goes their own way. But Israel, when the time comes, has to make decisions that are its own as a state. Launching an attack like the one on the 12th, the 12-day war, June 2025, is an option. But this time, without limitations. Without limitations. Those limitations came from the White House. Donald Trump has to realize, he has to understand that right now there are some people building a nuclear weapon, and that nuclear weapon could be used against Israel, against an allied country, or God knows who else. All right? Donald Trump knows it, but Donald Trump also doesn't want an open war for this to turn into Iraq or Afghanistan. He has a sort of Venezuela. We carry out an operation, a forceful operation. We eliminate the mastermind of the regime, like in this case Maduro, and then we move on to something else. Is that format compatible with Iran, which is USA? I would possibly like to see your comments in the chat. I would like to see what you think right now in the chat. Is that format compatible with Iran? I think not, because here we're talking about religious, fundamentalist, radical Islamic topics. So it's not compatible, or at least I don't think so. What's the format that works here? Destroy, 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 destroy Iran's military capability. And let it be the people themselves who take control of what they want, if they prefer, then the people themselves. To declare a civil war among themselves, that's their decision. They have to evaluate it. They have to see it for themselves. But Israel must ensure its security. With what we've seen and what we're presenting here this afternoon, all these systems clustered underground, everything we're experiencing. There is no safety. There is no safety. The Iranians are sending videos every single day saying they're going to destroy Israel, that they're going to destroy the United States of America. Let's give an example. This one right here today, and this is not acceptable. Let's take a look at it. Because you can't live like this. Check out this video. You can see the aircraft carrier from the United States of America, and you can see the drones. This isn't realistic. I insist, this isn't realistic, because those destroyers, before that drone gets close, the drone is in the air, it's on the ground, the drone gets taken down to the ground. And before they can do this paranoia they've come up with in artificial intelligence, this wet dream of being able to launch missiles at the aircraft carrier, they are making a mistake. Completely. First, because during the attack and release times, the aircraft carrier is at a safe distance, giving it time to perform evasive maneuvers. The Air Force would be working, and the destroyers have a lot of anti-aircraft missiles. What we're seeing with the Iranian boats approaching the aircraft carrier to attack is surreal. Swarms of drones with the close-in weapon systems, that is, those rapid-fire machine guns that the destroyers and the aircraft carrier have, shoot them down. That is, it would be something very, very, very difficult. And, well, not to mention the subject of submarines. Do you really think they'll fire a torpedo at an aircraft carrier? There are 2 nuclear-powered submarines protecting this fleet. But anyway, they're just showing a bit of what they think it could be. The naval battle. Launching anti-ship missiles, launching anti-ship ballistic missiles, launching anti-aircraft missiles. It's a fantasy, But of course, if instead of trying to sink the aircraft carrier, hopefully they'll try. I mean it, I really hope they try, because they're not going to succeed. They'll use their weapons on something that won't destroy a hospital. If they launch this against Israel and concentrate their firepower on Israel, there comes a point when the interceptor missiles are exhausted. And this actually happened in the 12-Day War. There was a point when we were already reaching the limit of interceptor missiles. So the operation has to be powerful, precise, massive, and hit them with everything we've got. We're seeing it in the movie. It's great for broadcasting on Iranian television. But we go little or not at all. Speaking of Iran, today they were celebrating the anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. Today it was clear on the streets that Iran is quite alone. They haven't managed to fill the big cities, and people are already waiting for a possible attack from the United States of America. Al-Udeid Air Base, what do we have over there? Subscribe to the Satellite Photography channel. There we see it. 16 tanker planes plus a Rivet Joint Reconnaissance aircraft, all 16 tanker planes. A single attack with the intention of causing a lot of damage. That's what they're aiming for. That's what they want in Iran. The celebration of their revolution. Images S. Coffins with Brad Cooper with the high command of the United States Navy. Look at this. Everything we're seeing. Tremendous. Very, very tremendous. Well, there is also news from Gaza. See you later. I know you guys like these videos. Family, if you're live right now, subscribe to the channel. The more you talk in the chat, the more chances you have to get a membership. You've been warned that you might get a membership. Pay attention to what you're about to see now. It's a building
that has been hit. Kim,
who was it this time that sent Israel to the other world, to the new world? With the virgins? Ahmad Hassan. Ahmad Hassan is the leader of the Bijano sniper team. Among them, he is responsible for the assassination of Israel Defense Forces officers, of 7 Israel Defense Forces soldiers. Another demon who is no longer with us, Ahmad Hassan. No sooner said than done. They won't be shooting anymore. Israel Defense Forces soldiers? I remember when I was in Israel, I talked with Israel Defense Forces soldiers. I had the chance to meet a sniper. We had conversations. Last night was an amazing night. We were with them from 11 at night until 6 in the morning, learning many details about everything that happens there. There are details that can't be shared, obviously, and others that can be told. But I asked them a question. I said to them, what do you think about the Hamas snipers? What do you think about them? About the enemy? He says, look, we're going to tell you something. We shouldn't underestimate them. They know the terrain very well and the distances they shoot from. You don't need to be an expert marksman. The rifles they use are very powerful, which causes considerable damage. It's practically a guaranteed death. And they, unlike us, are not afraid to die. That is, they expose themselves much more to counter-sniper or anti-sniper tasks, he says. Our missions are to hunt snipers, not to go hunting Hamas soldiers or terrorists, he says. We focus more on covering and securing troops during their movements. And it's amazing, isn't it? Someday we'll do a show about this topic, about how the Israel Defense Forces snipers worked, or how the Israel Defense Forces snipers work in Israel. When this is over and military censorship ends or secrecy is no longer needed, we can share information that's currently withheld for security reasons. Obviously, I've always said it, when there's something we can't talk about, we don't talk about it. But we're glad that it's been taken down. Ahmad Hassan, chief of the sniper battalion of a terrorist group called Hamas. I say this because later people come and say that I'm glad about people's deaths, and that's not the case. I'm glad that a murderer has been eliminated, who took part on October 7th and also participated during the operations in Gaza to free the hostages. Israel has not been there to conquer Gaza. It has been there to free the hostages. And now it remains in a security zone so that they don't do another October 7th, because just a few hours ago in Rafah, they tried to do the same thing again, more of the same. Coming out of a tunnel, attacking the soldiers and causing casualties, the ceasefire is an unbelievable thing. By the way, now they're talking about Kushner and Witkoff wanting to do a kind of partial disarmament of Hamas. Just hand over the rockets, but let them keep their small arms. I would like to ask Kushner and Witkoff, how many people died from rockets on October 7th? And how many people died on October 7th from small arms? Let's see if we can actually understand something. I think it's clear that we can understand a bit more. What is the real situation? It's not about disarming Hamas. It needs to be defeated militarily if possible. It's a terrorist organization whose intention is to repeat an October 7th or something even worse. Family, we also have PayPal in case you want to contribute. PayPal me, Chuck Estrategias Militaris. PayPal me, Estrategias Militaris. So that we can keep making all this content you're seeing every day, and it's so important to shed light on this story. You also have the Super Chat available. For what we're talking about now, I want to show you something, which is really good, and we like this. Israel is improving its military capabilities in air defense, in defense. Israel has an incredible system. The David Sling. Now, that David Sling has evolved, it has improved, and now David's Sling reaches farther and is much more effective. Declassified video by Israel. Doesn't this put Israel's security at risk? Declassified, in fact. It says it right there, declassified. Do you see it? February 2026, declassified. Friends, everyone calm down. Let's go with it. Over the sea. There we see the coast of Israel. We see the David Sling system. We see the radar, and that missile. That missile that saves so many lives. We see the launch of Crony drones. This is not the Iron Dome or the Sea Dome. That is the Iron Dome of the sea. This is different. It's impressive. Because notice that they're even using a ship, a civilian ship. You can't adapt a defense system, the target, the interceptor, and destruction on a civilian ship, right? Good news. It's important to point out that the type of missile is a two-stage missile. Here you'll see it in slow motion, and I'll briefly explain how it works. When it is detected by infrared, and by radar as well, but also by infrared, there's double confirmation. Radar confirmation and infrared confirmation. for the guidance of this type of weapon. What happens is what you see here, this first part you see. The white area is the warhead of the missile. The cone is the guidance system. The red part is the second booster. And the white part you're seeing there is the booster is what gives it speed to that missile so it can quickly go out to seek the threat. It's made against fast threats, cruise missiles, drones, even. It could even hit it. Some quasi-ballistic missile. Let's say that this system, when the ARRO system, when the Patriot system is overwhelmed, that's when it comes into action. This is practically the one we see being launched massively. The images we saw during the 12-day war or in previous attacks from Iran, that was launched massively to attack a single missile, right? Specifically David's Sling. It's the system that has now been greatly improved, and that's obviously good news. It's Israel's defense industry that saves lives. That's there to save lives from attacks by terrorist groups. This isn't launched against cities. This protects cities. One invests money, budget, in creating ballistic missiles to destroy hospitals, buildings, apartments. Others spend their taxpayers' money, which in Israel people pay a lot of taxes, on protecting lives. So people should really keep this in mind. This is a pretty important system, right? David's Wave. It's among the most advanced systems, along with the Iron Dome. It has a range between 40 and 300 kilometers. 300 kilometers of range. A Spider missile. Modified, the Python 5S also modified. That is, it is designed for medium to long range rockets. And also the issue of drones, cruise missiles, all of this can be protected operationally. Well, yes, it's quite effective. It's quite effective and works very well. And it's a system that's on par with other major systems. So there it is. Israel once again successfully tests its medium and long-range anti-missile air defense system. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations to Israel. Congratulations to the industry, because they're going to sell this like hotcakes. Like hotcakes. Let's see it also. How does it work? Give me a second, just a moment, guys. There we go. Let's see it. Do you know how the system works? Yes. So you can see how David's systems work. Because later, when the war starts, they'll say the Iron Dome has failed, the Iron Dome doesn't work, the Iron Dome isn't the Iron Dome. There are more systems. There are more systems protecting Israel. The thing is, you have to know a little about what each thing does and how it works. You have to study it. If you don't study, it doesn't work. First of all, thank you for being live with us, everyone, before we watch this video about how the David Sling system works in detail. Thank you for being with us and for the support you give to this channel and everything we talk about. Let's take a look at it here. How does David's Onda system work? And what can it offer us to protect the skies of Israel? David's Onda, the new generation of surface-to-air missiles, aerial air defense systems. There we see it. Family, we're close to reaching 423,000 subscribed to the channel. Tactical missiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, fighter jets, rockets, agile multi-threat platform, emerging threats, drones, the missile.
Forma.
David Sling, the minimal collateral damage. It's the last line of defense against what Iran launches. When they get past the Arrow system, David Sling will fight against the giant Iranian missile, developed together with Rafael Iraccio in the United States and Israel. To him, identification radars. And also, it has something interesting. This type of missile, unlike many Russian surface-to-air missiles, which often detonate by proximity, that is, when they're near the target, they explode, which can cause collateral damage. This missile has a precision system that is hit to kill. It has to physically hit the missile or the part of the missile or the threat for it to explode. Otherwise, it doesn't explode, which is super important. 12 missiles per battery. With a rapid launch system, imagine a salvo of 40 missiles being launched. Well, with 4 of these batteries, we could have a high interception rate. Control system. And this adds Iron Dome to the Spider system, which is also there. It's like that kind of protective onion here, those rings of protection. Well, David's Sling, let's say, reaches higher than the rest. It can operate via satellite by planes, early warning. And it's a key layer of protection. Israel's defense has a target search sensor. That's very good. This is the second engine I told you about, and the booster, which is what you see here. Everything comes together to give it great agility, and when it's fired, it separates from the booster. Then the missile starts propelling itself automatically and goes after the threat. The guidance system marks a point, for example, if the missile. Lately, it is said that Iranian missiles change their course or direction to evade interceptor missiles during the interception phase. This one we're seeing here is searching for a point of where they cross in the air. If it's calculated or if the missile changes course and goes back up, the enemy missile. Let's put it up here. There it is, so you can see it better. Without the watermark, if it goes back up, it automatically recalculates. With its agility, this missile can change course quickly. Find the point where they will meet. Both projectiles, and that's where the hit to kill happens, which is the interception of the aggressor missile. That's how Israel's airspace is defended. How lives are saved, do you see? Super important. Used to protect cities, Haifa, Port of Haifa, Tel Aviv, military bases. This is super important, so I'll keep it in mind when this starts. Let's speak properly. David's vibe. That's right, saving lives again. Israel family, thank you so much for being live with us. We'll stay with JN in quotes. I'll be here at 10 post Meridium Spanish time to tell you more things, to tell you what's happening, what's going on right now in the world. Thank you so much, really. Will we see each other on military strategies? Best regards.